relationship, lost my fire. Oh, and I forgot about me for way too long. But it's rolled on, now there ain't no shade around here. Once you leave the clouds, you're under 80. Funny how there ain't no rain or clear. Why'd it take so long to leave you in the rearview mirror? Now nobody gonna steal my sunshine or turn my blue sky gray. All I know is at the end of the day, wildflowers grow when there ain't no shade.
Hey everybody, this is Pearl with Conversations with Pearl, and I am so excited for you to be listening to us today. You know, normally we have women on this show, but today we are very honored to have a special man on the show. And I was so excited to hear his story because his story is one of taking a life lesson that he had and he's paying it forward. And if you sat with me on any of my clubhouse rooms or just been in conversation with me, you know that I share all the time about leaning in, like leaning into the gifts that we have. You know, when we come to this earth, no matter who you believe in, your maker has created these amazing gifts inside of you, and it's up to you to develop them and to really lean into those gifts. Because when you don't lean into those gifts, what happens is you're cheating yourself to be like, wow, I have this amazing gift, and that feeling of that accomplishment, right? But then when you don't share it with the world, you're cheating me and everybody else that's listening out here today that amazing gift that you have. So today I'm excited that we have a very special guest on to share about what he's doing and how he's paying it forward into this beautiful world we have. But before I do, another unusual thing today is we actually have a co-host today. So I'm excited because this lady is a very special friend. I got to know her through social media, and she's just amazing. She is my meditation coach, but she's also a dear friend, and she's partnered up with me. For those who have listened to us, we have this amazing retreat we do. It's called the Shiro Retreat, and she's one of my partners with me on that journey that we're taking, bringing this amazing retreat out to you. So I would love right now to introduce to the show for the first time ever, Miss Sharon R.G. with Mending Meditation. Welcome, Sharon, and tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Thank you, Pearl. Thank you, Pearl. Thank you for inviting me. Co-hosting. Woo! So my name is Sharon Ramke Gosine, but I go with Sharon RG because Ramke Gosine is too hard to remember. I am a virtual meditation facilitator and coach up in Toronto, Canada. And I meditate with groups and one-on-ones Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays on Zoom. And I also teach a class on how to learn to meditate in 35 days. I am passionate about meditation, and I met a new friend that I brought with me. And I'm going to let Pearl tell you all about this amazing young man that I met online, just like I met Pearl.
Thanks, Sharon. Yes, it's so cool, the power of social media, you guys. I mean, it's been so much fun, especially now on Clubhouse. If you're not on Clubhouse or Fireside, it's a great new way of now you get to hear everybody's voice, right? It's so cool. So I'm excited to introduce our guest today, and he is a 20-year-old Canadian from Niagara region of Ontario, Canada, which is right across the bridge from Niagara Falls, New York, where my family is all from. He currently lives in Hamilton, and he's pursuing a career in filmmaking. He is in his final year of school at Mohawk College for film this September. He started a nonprofit organization in 2019, and it's called Niagara Strong, empowering youth. And he does that in an effort to raise mental health awareness, to break the stigma around mental health. And so he intends to use his filmmaking to shed light on social issues around the world. Please help me welcome today, Geet Chahill.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much for having me. That was a great introduction. That pretty much sums up what I'm all about.
Thank you for being here today. So, Geet, give us a little backstory. Like you and I have talked before with Sharon. We know a little bit about the nonprofit and what you did. But tell us about tell us a little bit about you. You know, where you grew up, a little bit. What led you on this journey to bring this amazing nonprofit to this?
Right. So I grew up in Beamsville, which is a small town in the Niagara region, and grew up on an orchard. So that was always a good time. But Beamsville is a very, very tight-knit community. And that's why bringing things like Niagara Strong to life was it was easier in that regard when you have a whole community that can kind of support you. Yeah, grew up in Beamsville, moved to Hamilton a couple of years ago to pursue filmmaking. Going to Mohawk College for film, as you mentioned. And Niagara Strong, the way it kind of came to be was my passion for just how much I love people in general, and making sure that people feel like they're cared about. So at the end of 2018, there were a lot of suicides happening in the Niagara region. And that's when I felt like I needed to do something to raise mental health awareness, because I myself struggled through a lot of anxiety and depression through high school. So that's when I reached out to the tight-knit Beamsville community and pitched the idea of selling shirts and sweaters that said Niagara Strong over top. And I'd raise money and give the money towards mental health organizations such as Pathstones and the CAMH in efforts to, again, raise mental health awareness, go to local public events that were happening, set up a booth, share some flyers, share some mental health resources, and to spread the word. So yeah, that's kind of like the broader answer.
Awesome. And so was there, mental health, 2018, and then let's just talk about, we don't even factor in the last year. And I know you guys are in Canada, you're still locked down,
Right.
I'm in Florida, and I kind of have, I tell Sharon all the time, I'm the wicked stepchild that gets to go do things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're the bad state. But so was there particular events, like the things happen that you're comfortable with sharing in your life that like led you to this path and wanting to bring it out? Because I know you're concentrating really your nonprofit around the youth, right?
Right. Yeah. So I think it was just the lack of, just the huge stigma around mental health in general growing up. I didn't want the youth of today to feel like they were in this box where they didn't want to talk about their emotions. And because that's exactly how I felt growing up. In high school, I didn't want to talk about mental health at all. Whenever I felt, feelings of sadness and depression, at the time, I didn't even know it was depression. I thought, I'm just growing up, I'm going through these changes, it's probably just stress. I think everyone feels this way. But no, there's like a deeper root cause to all of this. And I wanted our youth to be able to openly speak about their issues and openly talk about their problems. So that's where Niagara Strong came about, and that's how I started to kind of encourage our youth to talk about if they're having a problem, what's bothering them, because the last thing you would want is for them to just bottle it up inside.
Yeah, it's so true. And being a mom of a 24 and 21-year-old, I totally, can understand and see where you're coming from. And especially I have two boys, right? So, we grew up that I know when I grew up, and probably I think it still carries a little bit through. And Sharon and I talk about this a lot about, women have feelings, but men have feelings too, right? Like and for whatever reason, men think that, I got to keep it inside and I can't release it. And, I don't look strong when I release, my tears or whatever. And I think there's starting to be a movement, and I love that what you're doing too, because I really believe as what I'm doing in coaching, and I work primarily with women, but I'm starting to see, and I'm actually even working with my women to say, you know what, this isn't just about you. If you have a spouse, you need to be checking in on them as well. And
Right.
So, Sharon, would you agree with that? And what are some of the things you're seeing? I just love what Geet's bringing, because I think having more awareness to the mental issues that are happening, even now we fast forward. I mean, Geet started this in 2018, as he shared, now here we are today. So what are your thoughts, Sharon? What questions do you have to ask Geet?
I think this is amazing. So as you know, that I do meditations. I feel that meditation is a great avenue for men, but I don't see a lot of men signing up for meditation. It's such a great tool because it's not only good for women, it's also good for men. And so I feel as if Geet is my little son, right? So I've just kind of enveloped him into me. And I just feel very proud that he found that thought that he can ask for help. So, Geet, I want to find out, how did you ask for help and where did you go for help?
Right. So I started off with going to a social worker in my high school. And that's where I talked about my depression, and I received a lot of support from there. And it was just surprising how a lot of students in my high school, they didn't actually know of this resource. But the problem was that this resource was only available like once a week. So if I was having a really rough day, let's say on a Thursday, but she was only available on a Tuesday, then, I'd have to deal with it for the rest of the week. And, I just didn't think it was enough. But it was a good stepping stone for me. After that, I went to my family doctor, and it felt a little weird to go to my family doctor and talk about my depression because, I've known my family doctor for like 8 years, and he always knew me of that, the wrestling kid that would come every now and then if he had a sprained ankle or if something happened at a tournament. And for me to walk in and say, hey, I think that I have depression, but I'm not sure. I think I need some help. There was so much compassion there and so much love. And, he made sure I didn't feel alienated or anything. He made sure I got the help. So after that, he gave me some contacts, some therapists to talk to. And after that, I booked some appointments and had some good conversations. And now I'm trying to spread that information to my peers around me.
I just think that's so powerful that you recognize that you needed help, right? And that you sought it out. And it is a shame. I think that's very common in high schools, is like the social worker and that person's only there, so there's not enough. And hopefully with what you're doing and bringing that attention to the schools, and we start seeing that more. And so how did you, so you went through and you got help, right? So now what inspired you to, this is a big thing to take on a nonprofit. It's not easy we all know it's not easy to start a nonprofit. There's a lot of work, right? And so a young man like you, what inspired you? What happened that you said, I need to bring this out. Like, we need more of this out here for other young adults, young men especially, and young girls too. But what inspired you to do that from your story? And then how did you start doing that? Like, was it easy for you to get it started? Did you have challenges? Did you have pushback? And then tell us a little bit about your family and friends. How did they accept that for you?
So great question. So the reason that the thing that clicked in my head that made me say, like, okay, I need to talk about this is because, well, nobody talked about it at the time. It was just such a taboo subject. And, I just thought that I need to shed some light on this situation because, again, at the end of 2018, when these suicides were happening, we would be losing someone every single week. And they were 17, 18, they were my age. So I'm like, well, I need to make sure that these people can let this load off their chest, but we just need to break the stigma around talking about mental health. And it all started with a video I made talking about the suicides that were happening off the Burgoyne Bridge in St. Catharines, and pitching this idea of selling apparel. And I made this little video, sent it off to some Facebook groups online, And I received such a great response online. It received so many views, so many awesome comments from mainly a lot of parents. And because these parents, they were concerned about their children. And the amount of stories I received on Facebook, concerned mothers talking about their children, if they, they're saying that it's tough for them to see their kids going through depression, and saying that they're having trouble with friends, or even if a child that committed suicide, their mothers or fathers would come to me and share their stories and say, hey, you're doing a great thing. And I just used all of that as fuel, as motivation to just get up and share this message. It was a lot of hard work in the start, because at the time I was working as a mechanic full time. So I made the website on my own, all by myself. I made the designs on my own, and making the shirts and hoodies. I would get the vinyl, and I had to teach myself how to make apparel. So I'd spend all this time looking at YouTube tutorials on how to use a Cricut machine and how to print out vinyl and then how to press it on shirts and sweaters. And the first couple of sweaters would turn out, terrible because the logo would be like 45 degrees the wrong way. But it was just that initial video that gained so much traction. And I'll never forget when I was at work in the lunchroom and my phone just blew up with all these orders. Well, first it was 2 sweaters, then it was like 3 shirts, and then it was like 20 sweaters, and then 30 shirts. And, my phone just kept dinging. And then by the end of the day, we made $4,000. And it was phenomenal. But then at the end of the day, I was like, oh no, I have to make all of the shirts and hoodies. So that's when I reached out to the community again, and I said, hey guys, whoever wants to help me out with this, I need help. There's no way I can manage on my own. So we got a group of passionate parents together, and we formed a little group chat online, and that's how we talked every single day. And I would have a couple of mothers help me out with making the shirts and sweaters. It took us about 2 months to complete all the orders that we got from that one day. So after working my full-time job as a mechanic, I would come home, drink a cup of coffee, and then spend 5 more hours making shirts and sweaters. So it was so much work, but at the end of the day, we thought it was worth it. Because of all that motivation and all those comments and just the positive feedback that we received.
So what comes to mind is it takes a village, right?
Of course,
That's
yeah.
what comes to mind. It takes a village. That it really to get that going, and how powerful is that? And I was, while you were saying that, talking about parents who've lost their children, or just parents too who are concerned about their kids. I mean, we love our kids, and Sharon knows my story, but I've got as one of my sons struggles with his journey around his self-care and around, he struggled with depression strongly. So he's been getting help, which has been amazing. But to know that there's, avenues and support out there, it's just so powerful. And I was sitting here while you're talking, I'm going, there's that show called Shark Tank, and Barbara Corcoran is on Clubhouse some. And I think we should, I don't know if you're on Clubhouse, Geet, but I think we should get you on Clubhouse and create a room and call it something around, the youth and mental health or something. And maybe we can get her to come in with us into her room, and, because she's always, she's one that's always into let's help out. And, the shirts alone is what you need help with, is manufacturing the shirts, I'm sure, right? So that's kind of her wheelhouse. So I'm putting out there, so if Barbara Corcoran's listening to this, when I tag her on this, we want you on, we want to connect you. But I don't know if you're on Clubhouse, Geet. Are you on Clubhouse?
Yep, I'm on Clubhouse. I'm in a couple of filmmaking groups. I think Clubhouse is a phenomenal tool. So
Awesome.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So make sure you follow me. And I'm thinking that we'll do a room like that, but I'd love to have you come in. We have a room on Tuesday and Thursday. It's called Spilling Tea Over Self-Care. I'd love to have you come in and be a guest on there. So we'll coordinate that after the show. But so I'm excited for you. So Sharon, when you hear that story, and you have you're a mom of an older child, and you and I know some of your story too. What do you think about getting the village together, and like, that's all I could think of when you were saying that, Geet, is, it takes a village, right, Sharon?
I'm thinking, like, wow, I wish I had that in my day. I wish I had these resources back in my day. I suffer too from depression and anxiety, and it never goes away, right? We just learn to manage it, and that's what I do. But I, yeah, I wish I had these resources. And he's so young. It just blows me away. And I am so grateful that he's discovered that he can ask and he can get and he can be well. He's got a full life ahead of him and he can be well doing that. And how proud his parents must be of you, of asking for help, getting help, and just changing everything in your life to be this amazing young man. What do your parents think about all of this?
Oh, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot to answer that question from you, Pearl. I had a lot of support from my friends. A lot of support from my friends, especially my wrestling team. I hold my wrestling team very close to my heart. They're practically family. So whenever I would post stuff about Niagara Strong, they would share it for me. They would let anyone there know that, hey, there's this guy in Beamsville starting this mental health organization, and he has his own youth group. So join his youth group and stuff like that. So sometimes I'd have my friends come out and volunteer at some of the events we host. So I had an immense amount of support from my friends. And my family, they thought it was great too. It was kind of, I think at the beginning, they weren't sure of what I was planning on doing or what I was doing with Niagara Strong. It was more of, yeah, Geet does it. It's just a thing he does. They weren't too focused on it, but I think if they were to look at it now, they'd be proud.
That is so cool. And so, Geet, are you finding, like, with what you're doing, because, talk to us a little bit, I think you said you're going to schools. Are you just concentrating on the high schools? Or are you finding that especially now at the pandemic, we got so many our elementary kids now are, they've been at home school. I mean, my nephew started kindergarten from home. I mean, that's just unheard of, right? I mean, you can't make that social connection. So are you finding, like, not just, that the high school realm, are you starting to find that people are trying to reach out to you for the younger kids? And if so, what are you doing? What are you and your organization doing to, like, manage all this? Because I'm sure it's becoming bigger than what you probably thought it was going to be at this time.
Yeah, so it's actually the opposite for me. I'm actually finding that there's an older audience that comes to us for some support. So that's where our Discord server comes to play. So on our server, we have a wide range of age groups on there. So we have anywhere from high school up to, we have some parents in there as well that, they engage with the content that we post on our Discord, just so they can just communicate and find new friends and meet new people. We've had a few requests for elementary school students, but it's just a little bit, it's a little difficult because it's like, what would you say to those kids? How much are you able to say? What type of topics would you want to cover? It's whereas the high school students, you can say a little bit more. With college and university, there's we have to be very careful with what we say with the younger audience, is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, I can imagine it would be hard to do that. So that's and it's interesting, like you said, older, because, like, the kids at college, and even with that, the reverse with the elementary kids, right? The kids last year, who they thought. I mean, my cousin's son, he was supposed to go to college, and he's doing college at home. His first year is like, I mean, literally, and even the second year, he's in California, the second year too, and he's like, I'm getting an apartment because I want to feel somewhat like I'm in college. I still feel like I'm in high school. So, I just think it's so powerful what you're doing. And so how does the organization run? Like, what happens? Just walk us through. Somebody finds you, and typically what might be some of the steps that they walk through, and do you have online meetings? You have, I know in Canada you're kind of locked down. So how do the meetings happen, and what kind of events do you guys do?
Right. So before COVID, we had a youth group that was free of charge for any high school students. And I hosted that personally every Wednesday. So we'd have high school students that would show up, and it was just a safe place for these students to meet new people, make new friends. We didn't, I think, like occasionally we'd talk about mental health topics, like ways to relieve stress and how to kind of cope with anxiety and depression. But for the most part, we just wanted it as a fun environment to just blow some steam, play some games, do some team building exercises. But since COVID, we had to shut that down. So now it's online with our Discord server. But the thing is now that since it's online, we can reach more people. So it's kind of played a more positive role for us. So now whenever someone reaches Niagara Strong for support, we have a list of resources that we would give them. And we also tell them to join our community, join our Discord community. Right now, the team, we have around 6 members of our team, but right now we're recruiting more members to join us, such as event planners, fundraising, graphic designers, just so we can grow Niagara Strong even more. So right now we're working on expanding our Discord server for more events. So right now, as I look at our Discord server, we have Mental Health Mondays, where we have a graphic, and depending on what color heart you send us, that lets us know how you're feeling today. So if you send us a red heart, that means you're feeling fantastic. If you send us a green heart, it means you're all right. If you send us a purple heart, that means you need support. So that's when one of our moderators will reach out to make sure they're doing okay. We have movie nights on Saturdays. We have game nights on Fridays. And right now, we're planning to do more events, such as we hosted 2 events before called A Night to Be Heard, where we have members talk about their mental health experiences, talk about their depression, share some stories. And those events are fantastic. It's very, very wholesome, having people share their stories. And it's such a welcoming, and just the atmosphere is so great. The amount of support you get out of it is fantastic. So we want to host more of those. But right now we're working on plenty of more events, and we just want to get the community involved as much as possible. So I'm also looking to get my filmmaking talents involved a bit and make community videos. We did post a video before called I Am Grateful. So we had some community members share us a little clip about what they're grateful for. And then we just stitched it together and then posted it online. And those are very wholesome as well. So we're trying to do a lot of things at the moment, but we'll keep you posted.
Awesome. And are you mostly in Canada, or are you starting to see with COVID, like are you starting to see it growing like here in the US and other countries?
So most of our members are definitely Canadian, but we're starting to see members from like Slovenia, India, the States for sure. And I think we have some Russians as well. So we have like some around the world, but for the most part, it's mainly Canadian.
So do you see, like, I'm sure it's kind of different when you become like in the US and you're going to have a nonprofit. Do you think you see it growing to be more than just Canada, or is, like, what are your goals with this?
So I think primarily right now the focus is to tackle Niagara and make sure that we have a strong foundation, a strong base, because I don't want to grow too fast till it's hard to manage. Because like you mentioned before, a nonprofit at this age it's a lot of work, and handling a team is just a lot of work in general. So we want to make sure that we're growing slow and steady, instead of super fast and not being able to manage the different moving parts.
I could see, so I'm just like thinking, I could see like chapters, like, you know, having this and having chapters and having leaders of chapters all around. I think it would be something really cool. And then I can envision you doing a big convention every year, right? Like getting everybody together. I mean, I'm adding more to your plate for you, Geet.
Thank you. I have to write these down.
Yes. How about Sharon? What are your thoughts?
Geet didn't tell you, but I'm going to go into Niagara Strong and donate my time with meditations in the very near future. Geet.
Oh, that's right. I forgot to mention that. Yes, Sharon is donating a lot of her time actually to Niagara Strong to start some meditation classes. And we are so thankful. We're extremely grateful for you offering those services to us.
Well, I can tell you personally, somebody who's been part of, you know, she has a great, for those that are listening, Sharon has an amazing 35-day learning to meditate course that I was able to take, and it was so powerful for me and really changed my life. And so I know your nonprofit is in for a great retreat there for it. So I'm excited you guys are partnering together. So tell me, like, what's the next 6 months look like? What's the goal over the next 6 months with the nonprofit, and then with Niagara Strong, and then also, what are you needing? Like, what are some of the things the listeners that are listening to, what can they do to help support you?
Awesome. So I think the next 6 months they're very, very exciting for Niagara Strong. We, like I mentioned before, we're expanding the team. So right now we have 6 super, super passionate folks that are working alongside me with Niagara Strong to grow. And as we get bigger, I think we're going to have people delegate to specific areas of Niagara Strong, whether it's creating graphics or organizing events, organizing fundraising events. So I think we have a lot of events coming up fairly soon. And I think we're going to have a huge reach online as well. And hopefully after this pandemic is over, then we'll be back into hosting in-person events as well, because we hosted quite a few in-person events before COVID, and those were always such a blast, being able to see people face-to-face without the screen in between. And again, hearing those stories and engaging in fun little activities, we miss those a lot. So we're excited to get that back, hopefully soon. And as far as what we need with Niagara Strong is just share what we post. Make sure you guys spread the word as much as we're spreading the word. Whatever resources we post, I think the more people that see what we're posting, the better it is. We're selling lots of apparel online too. So if you'd like to donate, feel free to donate at niagarastrong.ca. But I think spreading the word and sharing the message would be the best for us.
Okay, so they can find you at Niagara Strong CA?
.ca, yeah.
Oh, NiagaraStrong.ca. So everybody, you hear that, NiagaraStrong.ca. You can go in and get some of the apparel. You can make a donation, and what about, what's your other social media? What is Facebook? That's one?
Yep, so we have Facebook, we have YouTube, we have Instagram. We've pretty much got all the social media accounts. We're thinking about TikTok. I'm talking to my social media manager about that. And yeah.
Awesome. And it's all NiagaraStrong.ca or Niagara Strong CA on those handles?
It's just Niagara Strong on everything. The .ca is just the .com for the website. Gotcha. Yeah.
Awesome. And Sharon, do you have any closing questions?
I do. I had one. No, I can't remember now.
I think she needs her own meditation.
Cut that out. Sorry.
It's those younger years that affect us, right?
Yeah. Sorry, Geet.
No worries.
It was right there, and I.
No, that's totally cool.
I was going to invite you to start a room in Clubhouse called Niagara Strong, and I'd like to be a part of that.
Mm-hmm. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I agree. I would agree with Sharon there. If you don't have it already, make sure you grab it. I think it'd be really awesome.
Like, you start your own club called Niagara Strong and have rooms within Niagara Strong where you can have different topics of conversations or things. And you need to follow us because we're like billboards.
For sure. Yeah.
And the other thing too, Geet, I don't know, for those that are listening, and I learned this from Sharon, there's a thing called Buy Me a Cup of Coffee. So if you are on Clubhouse, what you do is you get there's an app, you can Google it, Buy Me a Cup of Coffee, but you can tie it to your Twitter account. And what's great about that, Geet, is people talk and listen to you, and you do these rooms or you're guest hosting about, at Niagara Strong, you can tell them, hey, go to Buy Me a Cup of Coffee, and they can make a donation there for you. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's very cool. The social media, you guys. I mean, who would have thought? I mean, when I was a kid, we picked up the phone and talked on the telephone. We didn't even have pagers back then. So, the old, like my grandfather said, I remember when bread was 5 cents, right? So,
yeah, the internet's a fantastic resource.
Yeah, definitely. So I have been this has been such a heartwarming conversation today, and I'm so honored that you were on here with us and you were brave enough to come out with these 2 women and in a Conversations with Pro platform. It's a lot of women that are listening to it, but I think, this is a subject that I don't think it's going to die down. I think the subject is just going to get bigger with everything that's going on in the world, with all the things that are happening with COVID and coming out of COVID, and the different conversations are coming. And I think too, as the kids go back to school, some are masked, some are not masked. I think we're going to have a lot of this come up, and then know that there's Niagara Strong is out there. And like I said, I really envision you. I'm putting this out into the world. I'm manifesting for you that it's going to grow, that you're going to have chapters all over the country, and that you're going to look back in about 10 years and say, wow, I started this little thing, and look what this great big thing is doing for the world. And I just think it's so powerful. And Geet, I want to thank you for coming on today. And I gave you a warning before we started the show that we have, everybody knows that listens to Conversations with Pro, we have these amazing questions that we ask. So we always hard, better questions, better life. I get paid nothing, you guys, so go check these out, betterquestionsbetterlife.com. And they're just a group of cards, and you just pull a card out and you just can journal on it or manifest on it. It's just meant to help you stop and think for yourself, a little bit about yourself, and some of it's around self-care, some of it's just reflection. So, Geet, I'm going to move the cards, and you're just going to tell me when to stop, and I'm going to stop. Whatever card's in the bottom, I'm going to open that card up, and you're going to answer that question. So here we go. Tell me
Sounds good.
All right.
And stop.
All right. So let's see what the question is. Oh, Sharon, every time, okay, Geet, I have to tell you, every time we have a conversation about anything, the card that comes out is always so appropriate. So, Geet, your question is what I am doing for the greatest good of all concerned?
Wow.
That goes so with what we're talking about. So, is what you're doing for the greatest good of all concerned? I think we know the answer, but I'm going to let you answer it.
Yes.
And would you like to elaborate why?
Let's see. So is the card basically asking if I'm doing a good thing?
Yeah, it's how you interpret it. Really, the card is truly about how you interpret it. So yeah, I mean, if you feel, how does that feel? How does the card make you feel, either about Niagara Strong or about what you're doing today in your life around your, movie production?
Yeah, I think I'll touch on Niagara Strong since it's the topic for today. But yeah, I think what I've been up to is, as I always say, that as long as I can save one life, that's just enough for me. And I've put a lot of time and energy into Niagara Strong, all in the hopes of helping the youth around me and helping people around me that felt the same way I did when I was struggling throughout high school. So the goal is to help people, and I think that's the greatest thing of all. So
Awesome. And I knew that would be I definitely agree. I know you're doing I know you're doing, the answer is certainly yes. I mean, like you said, saving one life, and just empowering others around you with a subject that can be very hard, especially for our youth. The adults too. I mean, adults struggle with answering and saying. I mean, when I coach women, they struggle admitting that they need help, right? They struggle putting themselves first. They feel a lot of guilt. So I want to thank you for what you're doing. And Sharon, do you have any last words before I close this out?
I just thank you for what you're doing too, and I thank you for speaking to me on Facebook and just being so open and sharing your story. You are a very admirable young man, and I am grateful for knowing you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm grateful for you guys to have me on board and invite me onto this podcast. I think that's fantastic, and thank you for letting me spread my message to your audience. I think that's fantastic.
Oh, it's my honor. I'm glad this was a platform that we were able to do that, and I certainly see many other platforms coming your way. So I'm glad to have you today. And for those that are listening, I want to thank you again for listening to us. And as you know, I always close the show out reminding you that you come into this world as an amazing oyster, and inside that oyster, when you open up, there's this beautiful pearl inside. Yes, my name is Pearl, but I truly believe you guys are all a pearl as well. And I want to encourage you to go out and find your inner pearl of greatness. Have a great day.
Hello, sunshine, good to see you again. Had to walk out to let you back in. Stuck in a